Here with us now, Vanity Fair columnist Christopher Hitchens. He's the author of God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. We'll talk about that at another time, because in the latest issue of Newsweek, he writes about President Obama's Nobel Peace Prize, writing, "We thus find ourselves in a rather peculiar universe where good intentions are rewarded before they have undergone the strenuous metamorphosis of being translated into good deeds or hard facts. And it becomes increasingly difficult to avoid entertaining the suspicion that there is something explicitly political in the underlying process of Nobelista decision-making." Christopher Hitchens, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good excerpt there. Lay out for us.
Yes, well put, I must say, I thought.
It was,
I think the
very well.
translation was, he didn't deserve it.
He did. You call it, Christopher, the Nobel's first virtual award. Why do you say that?
Well, it would be like giving someone an Oscar in the hope that it would encourage them to make a decent motion picture, for example. I mean, reviewing what I wrote over the weekend, I thought it's probably a pity that the president was woken up with the news and didn't have the chance to do anything except sort of say, gee whiz, are you sure I deserve it? I mean, if he'd said, on reflection, had time to think, you know what, I really do appreciate the honor, but why don't you come back to me when I've done something to deserve it? I don't think I can come to Stockholm on these terms. I think it would have been a real act of statesmanship, would have made everyone feel instantly a great deal more confident than they do. That he's a serious guy. And how does he? As it is to look all moist and Bambi-like and say, "Well, this is terrific, and you know, it'll make me try harder," is sort of insipid to a terrible degree.
I don't think he did that. Did he do that, Andy?
No, but I mean, I want to ask Chris. Can anyone? Has anyone ever turned down one of these prizes before, Chris? That you know of? I mean, is that actually feasible?
Christopher, if you don't mind, only because it's my
Christopher.
name. No, that's okay.
I'm Andy or Andrew. I'm not particularly particular, but go ahead.
Fine. Now I've completely lost your thread.
Can you turn down a prize, Christopher?
Nobody's ever turned down a peace prize, no. There were years, oddly enough, the years of the war, when it wasn't awarded. You'd think they would have been looking even harder for people who were interested in peace at that point. But no, I don't think anyone's ever turned it down. One of the objections I have to the thing is that it's also, as a prize, terrifically overrated. It's gone to a lot of people who didn't deserve it. And it's gone to a lot of people who are simply professional pacifists. And there's a strong argument for saying that pacifism doesn't help to bring about peace.
Yeah, and Christopher, I'm wondering if you think really the president was sort of Bambi-like and excited. I actually think he was quite humble in his acceptance of it, and even said himself.
I think Bambiness is sort of bashfulness and humility, but perhaps I should have been a little less frivolous.
And Chris,
of course, he knows how to be humble. But the real humble thing to do would be to say, I don't deserve it, and I'm not going to accept it. I want to be reconsidered when I've done something to earn a prize.
And Christopher, so what does he do from here then? He is going to accept it, we understand. How can he turn this into a good thing in some way?
Well, you're supposed to make a speech which is supposed to be about peace. Some of them are worth reading. Most of them are not. Mother Teresa, for example, when she was given the Prize for Peace, having never done anything or said anything about peace, announced the greatest threat to world peace was abortion. You could see a few faces change in the audience at that point, wondering what they'd done. I don't quite know what the president is going to do. I mean, it depends what you think the acid test of his administration is. I would say it is Iran.
Pat Buchanan, I wonder if you think there are some opportunities at this point for President Obama, or has he missed it? Perhaps maybe he could have turned it down, and that would have been a most statesmanlike act.
Well, Lee Duc-Tho, who got it in 1973 for North Vietnam, refused to go to Stockholm or wherever he was going, Oslo, to pick it up. I don't know if he turned it down, but I think now that Obama has accepted it, I think the best thing he can do is go there and simply lay out his agenda. But the problem is this puts a certain amount of moral pressure on him to go along with the program, which I think probably of the Norwegians, which I don't think is a terribly realistic one in this world.
Christopher Hitchens?
I should have pointed out, I don't think Lee Duc-Tho actually declined the award, which he shared with Henry Kissinger, but he did say on declining to go that it was absurd to give a prize for a peace in Vietnam that hadn't yet materialized. And of course, that was another of the occasions when you might say the committee was sort of at the very best anticipating events, as it was when it very foolishly gave the prize to Rabin and Arafat.
Right.
Christopher, I mean, I gather you don't accept the notion that Thorbjorn Jagland stated, where he said that the prize was just to enhance the president's standing, not unlike with Willy Brandt and Gorbachev.
Well, precisely, because when Willy Brandt got the prize in 71, and it was in 1970 that he was garlanded as, among other things, Man of the Year, for going to Warsaw, for inaugurating his Ostpolitik, so-called, for dropping to his knees outside the Warsaw Ghetto, for ending the Cold War logjam in Central and Eastern Europe. That wasn't a matter of enhancement, it was a matter of recognition of something he'd really done. Same case with Mikhail Gorbachev. He got it in 1990 after Reagan, with whom he'd made a real peace deal, had left office, and while he was about to become the last chief executive of the Soviet Union. So there was nothing more to award him for. It wasn't saying keep it up. It was a recognition of something he had really concretely already done. This is nothing like that. It's much more useful, I think, to pay attention to the rest of the Nobel chairman's speech, where he says, well, we just like him essentially for not being George Bush and for being more pro-United Nations. The same motive as they gave when they awarded it to Jimmy Carter. They said, well, at least he's opposing the elected president of the United States and his policy in Iraq. It's outrightly and explicitly political.
Is there
I don't mind it being political.
And Christopher,
but they shouldn't say it's not.
Christopher, before you go, is there any redeeming reason why this president should have been awarded the prize? We've had guests on today who really think he should have won it, and it's a good thing. In your mind, is there any reason he should have won it?
I haven't been able to conjure one up, and I'm not hostile to the president. I'd love to know, by the way, what the arguments in favour are. I mean, what do people say he's done to deserve it?
That he's changed the conversation on the world stage. He's changed the attitudes towards America, some of which were quite negative. And he's enhanced our reputation around the world in a mere 9 months. And I would also argue that when I first heard word that
well, that really is a virtual prize, then, isn't it? As I say, it's a prize for effects, not effect. It's a prize for affect, not for effect.
For affect, not for effect.
And I gather the North Koreans did test a couple of missiles this morning.
They sure did. On that note, you'll stay with us.
Peace on Earth.
Peace on Earth.
Probably contributing mightily to the tone of the conversation.
And here is, sir, the Peace Prize at a time of war.